Good morning. Good morning. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to the Premarket Prep session for November 8th, 2023. You're joined by the grizzly, sweaty host, Adam Holland, stock options expert, as well as expert market strategist. We're here to go over the important news, notes, information, analysis, trade ideas, mindset, right? They're going to be key to making sure that you win more often than you lose in markets. That when you do win, it's in higher magnitude than the losses, and ultimately multiply your money, right? Which is what we're all looking to do here during tough economic times. So I'm privileged to be here amongst, let's see here, Vivian, Paul, Andrea, Alicia, Stephanie. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be back. Yesterday, in terms of trading and what went on, we had what was that hoodwinked us in the beginning of the morning? I think it was Amazon. Amazon had a great setup, our classic peak above and fail setup that failed. This is a game of probabilities, right? So whenever you enter a trade, it's going to be because that was the high probability thing of occurring, but that doesn't mean that that always happens, right? We ended up getting the low probability thing occur, which is Amazon continued to push. We made a bet it would go down, so we lost 40% of what we put in, right? Amazon ended up coming back down, but at the end of the day, you abide by a system because it has you winning more often than you lose. So we took the L on Amazon to start. Our Apple swings came back with a vengeance, right? And really ended up paying for us. We got those on Friday. You'll see a reel about those today. Literally dropped a reel saying to buy Apple stock on Friday, and we're up 5% since then. So you can't draw it up any easier, right? So make sure you watch out for that reel today. But you're seeing it here in front of you in real time. So it's a very beautiful thing when you learn how to read what the market has to say, and then you can execute based off of it. Apple also went ahead. That was part of the pre-market analysis. Apple with that hourly pattern, that hourly, potential bullish breakout. We got that. So Apple in short term paid us over 100% profit, and Apple on the longer swings paid us over 100% profit. So Apple came back to really win the day for us. And we had a number of other tickers from the pre-market analysis that also came through, right? You had Microsoft. We had AMD, our AMD call swing still doing work for us, those paying as well. So, a number of things going right for us, hence the rocket in the background. The rocket is our portfolios, right? Our bottom line, our net worth. That's what you want to see. And it doesn't have to be a rocket up by a lot, right? At the end of the day, if you can pay your light bill, your grocery bill, your, insurance bill, your phone bills, your insurance, if you can pay those using trading revenue, you've got a leg up over the next person who's using nothing but earned income, right? We want to get to a point where we can use this income to take care of all expenses. And then we don't have to worry about going to work and working overtime or finding another job because they're doing layoffs, which companies are still doing, right? We make sure that we can unlock the full potential of each and every dollar that we get. Because right now people use money. It's like if you, I don't know, like what's a good, like if you had access to The Rock, let's say The Rock was your best friend, and the only thing you used him for was spotting you in the gym, not to like hook you up, with being inside of venture capital investments, not to get you featured on a movie, not to get you in the WWE, not to get you brand deals, not to get you partnerships. It's like you have access to that, and all you do is this, right? You have access to The Rock. The only thing you use him to do is spot you in the gym. That's how you look at money when you understand what the market can do for you. It's like you have access to this money, but the only thing you do with it is pay bills, right? Pay bills and use it on frivolous things. Do you know what you can do with that in the market, right? Do you know what you can do with that if you take it and you apply it, right? That's really why once you unlock that, that thought process, it's like, no, I don't really care to have every pair of Jordans in the book. I don't care to have an Aston Martin or Bentley or Ferrari. It's like, no, I don't care to do all these different things because what could that money be doing for me instead of going out and purchasing things? It could be doing a whole lot, which means that I get to do a lot little, right? I can do a lot less because my money's doing a lot more. That's how I prefer to work, right? You want to work smart so you don't have to work hard. That's me. I've got a beautiful family. I love them. My brother, he's strong, athletic, that type of thing. I'm the type that I like to use what's up here, right? So I'm like, hey, I would prefer to move smart, so I need to move my body as little as possible, right? So I need to do all the other stressful things as little as possible. I've got everybody else working, right? I've got my money working. I've got those things working so that I don't have to be up at 6 a.m. working on a construction site or something like that, right? That's what you want to get to, where you're moving smart, right? Because this world is only getting smarter. AI, everything else. Burger King is planning to make all their locations, virtual or digital at this point. So there's going to be really no people working, interacting with customers. So again, you're just getting more and more jobs that are being taken away. Back in the day, they're like, yo, you can go flip burgers. Now, not even, right? Not even. They're going to want that person who's been flipping burgers for 30 years, not the person who, just wants to start and wants to learn. We live in a changing world. We've got to figure out, okay, how am I going to evolve along with it? Otherwise, natural selection takes hold, right? And you get left in the dust. And we don't want to do that. And it only takes getting 1% better every day to stay ahead of the curve. That's all it takes. A little daily investment each and every day, right? But also making sure that you're executing upon that. You can't just be here for the pre-market preps, right? You can't just be here, for the Instagram lives or anything like that, or the Facebook lives. You can't just show up and say, okay, I'm in the environment. Now something's supposed to spontaneously happen. Nothing happens without action, right? People say, oh, I wish I would have known to buy Facebook back in 2000. Even if you did know, if you didn't do it, it did no difference to you, right? I came out here on Instagram and said buy Apple stock on Friday. There's people here who still don't have extra money in their account, right? You knowing information does not help you at all. You applying that information is what helps you. So make sure that you're not only tuning in, right, and investing in yourself, but you're also executing so that you can reap the benefits of that presence, right? There are two in the chat if that makes sense. Let's go ahead and dive into what we have going on here today. So in terms of our top news, high in Ohio. Recreational marijuana is coming to the Buckeye State after Ohio voters approved a ballot measure to legalize adult cannabis use for non-medical purposes. It's a big deal as it makes Ohio the 24th state to approve recreational pot in addition to Washington, D.C., meaning nearly half of all U.S. states now embrace such a stance. The latest approval also shows how the sentiment is expanding to more parts of the country, like the Midwest, after Minnesota and Missouri approved similar measures over the past year. Now, in terms of the fine print, the passage of Issue 2 means that people aged 21 and over in Ohio will be able to buy up to 2.5 ounces of weed and 15 grams of concentrates. Regarding cultivation, up to 6 plants will be allowed per person or 12 plants per household, regardless of the number of adults living in the private residence. Note that the statutory question was decided through a voter-approved initiative instead of a constitutional amendment via the state legislature, meaning lawmakers in Ohio General Assembly will have the ability to alter or even repeal its provisions. So, recreational legalization is expected to generate hundreds of millions of dollars in annual cannabis tax dollars for Ohio, as well as thousands of new jobs to support the new economy. Cannabis market research firm BDSA even expects legal U.S. cannabis sales to grow 14% to $36.5 billion by the end of 2023. Though investors trying to gain exposure to the sector have not yet seen such promising returns. Multi-state operators like Cresco Labs, Curaleaf, Green Thumb Industries, and Trulieve Cannabis have seen negative returns in recent years, as have cannabis-related funds like the Advisor Shares Pure Cannabis ETF, whose ticker is YOLO, and ETF MG Alternative Harvest ETF, whose ticker is MJ. Now, in terms of outlook, there has been momentum for legalization at the federal level with last year's introduction of the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act in the Senate and the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act in the House. President Biden also asked the DOJ and HHS to, quote, review expeditiously how marijuana is scheduled under federal law, where it remains a Schedule I drug under the Controlled Substances Act of 1970. The illegal classification of the federal level makes it complicated for companies to operate within their own state borders, as many business activities and banks are regulated by federal law, as well as taxes, trademarks, and legal processes like bankruptcy. So, I mean, you're just seeing, the increased legalization of marijuana, which is something that for recreational use, which is something that, we've expected. It's a secular trend over the course of the long term. There are like tons of, weed stocks that go crazy every once in a while. What was it? Tilray, right? Tilray went crazy. It's almost 10 years ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago that Tilray went crazy and, ran to the sky. And there are people that are still holding Tilray because of that. So in terms of like me executing based off this, I don't really see any reason to make any move in the stock market. You can do some deeper research, but I'm trying to look at things that immediately jump out to me. And this just isn't one of them, right? It'll go state by state, all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm not seeing something that is immediately benefiting from this in a way that would make me want to act on that stock versus just trading these blue chips that pay us like Apple did, right? Doubling our money in less than 4 days, and then also doubling our money within the same day on the short term, right? So I'd rather do that than be sitting here like hoping that this picks up across other states, and I just don't want to leave things up to that. Less liquid stocks also have larger spreads, so for my people that actually trade, it just makes it more difficult, to lock down profit and for the options to move in a way that you're used to. So I just prefer to stick to more liquid things here. But congratulations to Ohio. There is really not a lot that goes on in Ohio, so hopefully this can provide a positive stimulus. And get people working, and just provide opportunity. So, in terms of economic news here, swipe away. Americans' credit card debt swelled $154 billion year over year to a record $1.08 trillion in Q3, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, notching the largest increase since it began tracking household debt in 1999. This is something that I talked about last year to end the year coming into this year, right? And also something that I talked about all of this year was increasing delinquency, right, on debt, people not being able to pay back their debt, and also exorbitantly high credit levels, right, and credit card debt going through the roof. So default on auto loans, which is what we've been seeing, and then also credit card debt swelling to crazy levels. Something that I talked about over a year ago, and you're seeing that exact thing come to pass here. When you pay attention to the writing on the wall, the future really doesn't become as murky as people often think it is. Let's see here. Interestingly, millennials saw the most credit card delinquencies. Quote, credit card balances experienced a large jump consistent with strong consumer spending and real GDP growth, said Donggoon Lee, economic research advisor at the New York Fed. Bankrate analyst Ted Rossman also noted that credit card balances have been increasing faster than any other type of debt amid high inflation and record high credit card rates, adding that, quote, more people are using credit cards just to get by. That's not where we want to be, right? I hope that's no one that's here. And if it is, we're working each and every day to work you out of that, right? There's plenty of people that are in those same circumstances. So it's not like it's anything to be ashamed of. You do what you need to do in order to survive. But to that same token, you make sure that you are making moves to get out of that, right? You don't just want to say, okay, everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it. And, I just got to hope for the best. No, you've got to do that, but know in the background, right? It's like if you have to take a job that you really don't want to do, right? Let's say that you're like, I don't know, a janitor in New York City. It's not fun, right? There's rats, there's trash, all this other crazy stuff. You don't want to do it, but you don't just do it and then you go home and you sulk about it. You do it and then you go home and you work on getting, I don't know, your cybersecurity license, right? Or you work on getting training in something else. You don't just say, oh, I'm in negative circumstances. It sucks. I'm going to just stay here and hope things change. No, you say, oh man, I might be in a lot of credit card debt. Let me make sure that I'm honing my ability to do a skill that multiplies my money for me, right? That way you can at least feel good. You're like, this is mine now, but it's not my forever. It's not my forever. And your work is ensuring that. So to anybody who might be watching this, you're like, man, I'm in credit card debt up to my neck. It's not the end of the world, right? But you do need to make sure you're doing something to get out of it, because just putting your head down and hoping that Biden will cancel it is not an effective, living strategy. In terms of consumer news, no smoking. The British government will introduce a legislation to raise the legal age for smoking cigarettes every year. King Charles III confirmed at the state opening of the parliament. The major crackdown proposed by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak last month would effectively create the first smoke-free generation in the UK. The proposed law would ensure that children currently aged 14 or younger can never be sold cigarettes, and will restrict the sale and marketing of e-cigarettes to children. Analysts have warned that the ban could spread to other European countries, impacting leading tobacco companies like Imperial Brands, Japan Tobacco, British American Tobacco, and Philip Morris. BTI is the ticker for British American Tobacco, and Philip Morris, their ticker is PM. So, both of those are ones that are publicly traded here that could be affected. This, of course, ends up being kind of a long-term thing in terms of like immediate ramifications. We could see here if there's any, price action that looks interesting. Nothing as of, right now, just immediately checking out Philip Morris. So, could be something that's more of a long-term thing for them. I'd say for PM, If they close beneath, if Philip Morris closes beneath 90.61 on the hourly, then it can head down, right? So you can look at lotto puts on PM if we close beneath 90.61 on the hourly. So maybe I'll set a little alert there just in case. I'd fire a nice little hourly bear flag on them. Hourly bear flag breakout. All right. Cool. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay. Now, yeah, so we'll look out for that. In terms of British American Tobacco, I don't even know if I've heard of that company. Let's see if it's even worth, because again, a lot of these less liquid stocks are just not even optionable, so it's not really worth spending time on it. BTI is in a little resistance area here in this 31, between 31 and 32 area, like this 31 to 31.50 area. So could reject and come back down to 30. We're currently sitting at around 31. But again, nothing that I'm like super excited about that I wouldn't just rather be involved in a blue chip stock. So I'm not even really going to take the time to break that down. In terms of energy news, demand concerns. Energy, ticker XLE, that's the ETF for energy sector, was at the bottom of Tuesday's S&P sector leaderboard, ending 2.2% lower and contributing 9 of the day's 15 biggest losers on the S&P 500. Oil tumbled to its lowest levels since late August, with NYMEX crude for December delivery falling to as low as $76.51 per barrel, while January Brent crude slid to an intraday low of $80.86 per barrel. Demand worries have replaced Middle East geopolitical fears to weigh on crude prices, with analysts pointing to disappointing China trade data. Notable S&P 500 decliners include Schlumberger, which is down 5.6%. Their ticker is SLB. Marathon Oil is down 4.1%. Constellation Energy, whose ticker is CEG, down 3.9%. And EQT Corp, whose ticker is EQT, they're down 3.8%. So looking at XLE here, is there anything interesting about these charts? Let's see, let me clean this up. I really would like just a straight up blank chart from this. Oh, they did close between, or they closed beneath daily support yesterday. XLE did, which again is just an ETF representing like a basket of energy stocks. So let's see here. Yeah, if XLE comes back up and retests this 34.09 area and it stays beneath it, I like XLE puts. So 84.09 is daily bear flag breakout for XLE. And as of yesterday, we closed beneath that. So XLE puts dated 2 weeks out, right? You can go next week expiration or the week after that. But if we, let's say that we hit, if we basically, in terms of like shorter term trading, if we lose pre-market low at 83.27 and we hold beneath it, then we'll likely see 81.79. So you can day trade Lotto's this week expiration puts. If we lose 83.27 and we remain beneath, so we lose it, we come back up, we retest it, in 5 minutes, 15, we hold beneath, then we see 81.79, right? So since we're just seeing this now, we're not seeing it yesterday when the breakout occurred, the next best thing is to try and say, okay, based on short-term movements, what can we do? We lose pre-market low, you can get puts, take profit at 81.79. If we come up, we test pre-market high. Pre-market high is also 84.09, right? It's that same breakout area. So if we come back up and retest that, that's a nice spot for you to grab puts that you can, swing moving forward. So could be this week expiration if you want to be a risky biscuit. You can also do next week to be a little bit more conservative and I guess responsible. All right, so I'm going to put in some alerts. So it is. Okay. And then, of course, we're going to set a little alert on pre-market low. Can make for a nice day trade today. Cool. Nice. All right. In terms of today's markets, mixed bag. In Asia, Japan, we're down 0.3%. Hong Kong down 0.6%. China down 0.2%. India up 0.1%. The footy in London up 0.1%. Paris up 0.2%. Frankfurt down 0.1%. The Dow up 0.1, basically flat. S&P flat. NASDAQ down 0.1. Crude oil down 0.7. Gold down 0.1. Bitcoin up 2% to 35,343. Today's economic calendar. Let's see here. Oh, we have Jerome Powell speaking in 9 minutes. That'll be important. So, yeah, I don't know exactly how much I'll be doing at open with Jerome Powell speaking, but we could definitely see some volatility. Yesterday, we saw some volatility with like 7 different members of the Fed speaking. Of course, all of them combined don't have the same influence on the stock market that Jerome Powell has. So we'll wait to see, how exactly he chooses to ramble over his words today. But whatever he decides to say in his roundabout way will likely impact price action. So we'll see. I don't know if this is a pre-planned speech, if there's a Q&A session. It's always important to know if there's a Q&A session because that's where you can get the crazy moves. But yeah, I'm likely kind of going to sit and see what happens, or maybe wait Jerome Powell out unless I see like a really, great move. If I do see it, I'm probably going to play it light. But with Jerome Powell speaking here, heading into market open, we could definitely get some crazy movement. So again, he's on in 8 minutes. We get wholesale inventories preliminary data at 10 a.m. So that's another thing at 10 a.m. So we got a lot happening within that first hour, right? Powell speaking, got some data. So we could get, kind of a crazy first hour or lack thereof. We just get a lot of chop, a lot of up, down, up, down. In terms of what else is happening, we'll finish up here with our rapid fire stock news rundown. Deutsche Bank, automakers won't make affordable EVs anytime soon. Xi Jinping to meet U.S. execs amid efforts to calm foreign investors. Wall Street's top 10 growth stocks, according to Seeking Alpha Quant ratings. So they're just rated the top 10 growth stocks. Amazon, ticker AMZN, developing AI model Olympus to rival OpenAI. Not mad at it. I'm excited to see what they have going on. Even with earnings misses, Uber demand has grown. Rivian rallies after formally ending Amazon exclusivity deal. There actually was some volume on Rivian calls yesterday. Once I saw that it was based off earnings, though, I ignored it because, earnings can go completely either way. And you see tons of volume, millions of dollars of volume going into earnings, and it goes against them. So, volume alone is not enough. You don't see the full picture. You don't see what companies are planning to do, right? They could be taking that position as a hedge position because they have a huge position in just stocks. So it's important to keep that in mind. Upstart, ticker UPST, slumps after results. Q4 guidance disappoints. Goldman Sachs plans to offload GM credit card program. Nintendo making Legend of Zelda live action film. DR Horton, ticker DHI, earnings beat consensus as demand holds up. That's pretty much it. That'll wrap us up, put a bow on it, and take us out this morning. As always, if you enjoy this content, if you appreciate this content, if you're a fan of it, just show love to the reels that are posted on Instagram, right? That goes a long way. I try and make sure I'm providing as much free value as possible. So if you can, you appreciate that, you want to reciprocate that love, by all means, you do it through likes, shares, comments, saves, right? Specifically comments, saves, all that good stuff. So even if it's some fire emojis, help a boy out, some rocket emojis, help a boy out, and we'll continue to bind together to get 1% better each and every day. That's the goal, and I wouldn't rather do it with anybody else. So let's dive into what markets have for us today. I'm going to get this absolutely grizzly hair and facial hair taken care of. So I will be out of office / like away from my desk from like 12:30 to probably like 3. So because I still go to my same barber who's an hour away from me now, that's called loyalty. But I will be on the road right during the afternoon. So just a heads up. But other than that, guys, let's make it another great day. I'll see you out there in markets, and I'll also see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session of the week. Have a good one.